has warned Iran of very traumatic consequences if it fails to reach a deal on its nuclear program, emphasizing the urgency of negotiations. Trump expressed hope for a result within the next month and stated, "We have to make a deal or it's going to be very traumatic for Iran." These comments came after his discussions with Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, where Trump reiterated his strong stance on the issue. Let's hear his statement.
Following your meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu yesterday, has your thinking changed at all as it relates to these negotiations with Iran or the timeline with Iran?
We have to make a deal, otherwise it's going to be very traumatic. Very traumatic. I don't want that to happen, but we have to make a deal. They should have made a deal the first time, and they got midnight hammer instead. And this will be very traumatic for Iran if they don't make a deal. Look, if they don't make a deal, then it'll be a different story. But we had a very good meeting yesterday with Bibi Netanyahu, and he understands, but it's ultimately up to...
All right, request General Sudhakar to join me back in the discussion here. General Sudhakar, midnight hammer looms, but Trump is clearly prioritizing a deal over a conflict. What's your comment?
Donald Trump, this is my perspective, Priti, allow me, because I'm also a student of geopolitics as much as you all are. I'm joining the dots. You see, Midnight Hammer took place almost 8 months back. In past 8 months, America as a superpower or declining power has gone through such tumultuous journey as much as the world has gone through the geopolitical churn. Epstein file is the biggest challenge before the survival of Donald Trump and his dominance as a Republican. They call it what? GOP. Okay. So when you, besides Epstein file, there are a host of issues. There are 25 seats falling vacant in Senate now. Out of 25, I am given to understand there are 9 or 8 of them which belong to Democrat, rest are Republican. Republicans are fearing that, like it has happened in past 1.5 years or a little more than 1 year, the Democrats are making a comeback with thumping majority in 3 or 4 provinces, including 1 or 2 mayors. So they are fearing that it may be a clean sweep for the Democrats. This is the biggest pressure which is playing in the mind of Donald Trump. The second point which is playing in the mind of Donald Trump is that the tariff issue is hanging fire in the Supreme Court. They are supposed to have given judgment in December. It didn't happen. January, it didn't happen. February. Now we are expecting the judgment to be given on 20th of February because Supreme Court is more than convinced. My internal analysis, personal analysis, I would say, suggests that Supreme Court is going come down very heavily against Donald Trump.
Okay.
Either through silent kind of strictures being issued to him, and his executive powers are going to be curtailed. There are some major steps going to be taken by Supreme Court if USA has to continue to sustain itself as a declining superpower. If it doesn't, then they are actually throwing everything to fire. Whole USA is going to be on fire. There are a host of issues. So therefore, the domestic activities or turbulence which is troubling Donald Trump will always prohibit. This is one angle. Secondly, if you allow me, what is happening in Middle East? We need to understand there are, officially the American authorities have said there are 19 bases. I am saying there are 31 bases, including small, big, this thing in Middle East. Now, out of all these bases, all bases do not have the Iron Dome. All of them have been registered as targets. In military parlance, we call it as registration of targets by Iran. Now, what kind of warheads is it going to use? It has got some kind of, this is a country which has got a largest inventory of drones, next to China, I would say. And the drones have got the loiter ammunition capability. They have the terminal guidance. They can do surveillance. They can do intelligence gathering, etc., etc. They have high altitude endurance drones. They have long range. And what I'm trying to say is that means and methods or the projectiles which Iran has, full of the fact that way back when the Damascus mission, the diplomatic mission of Iran was hit by Israel way back sometime in April last year, They had retaliated for the first time. It is the first direct confrontation that took place between Iran and Israel. Their missiles of Iran, they managed to penetrate through the Iron Dome. Why? Iron Dome is actually cut out. It is, the architecture is so designed that it is meant for short-range rockets, oblique missiles up to 70 kilometers. Beyond 70 kilometer, it cannot pick up. The radar system cannot pick up, detect, or intercept any of the missiles, oncoming missiles. Iran, as on today, has got long-range missiles. It has got hypersonic missile. It has been provided with a large number of quantum of S-300 and 400 air defense missiles by Russia. China also has sent 58 cargo logistic aircrafts. They landed between 28th of January to 31st of January 2026 in Tehran airport or nearby airports. What are these aircrafts carrying? Definitely not the flower garlands, the weapon hardware that were required for the Iran. So therefore, all I'm saying, plus mindful of the fact that surveillance vessels of China, the PLN, are already making rounds in the Persian Gulf, in the Arabian Sea. They're keeping an eye on the aircraft carrier. They're providing timely and accurate intelligence to Iran, which is actually, about deflecting or addressing the biggest challenge of military planning. That is the surprise factor. Today, America cannot go in for any strike if the surprise component is not retained in favor of American forces. If surprise is lost, then take it that the aircraft will be broken up into not two pieces, the aircraft carrier will be broken up into multiple pieces. That capability Iran has. One should not ignore or underestimate the enemy. So therefore, he's very cautiously trying to take measures of diplomacy and dialogue and try to put pressure, call it as mutton zef that we generally call in military science. One is a hammer, the other is a friend. Friend in this case is Oman. I don't think Israel and America, they both would be. Israel is very keen to go in for the kinetic attack. But Donald Trump is hesitant. He is unlikely, in my opinion, going to go in for the military strike against Iran because the cost is going to be prohibitive against his expectations. Bye.
General Sudhakar, thanks very much for sharing your understanding of the situation with our viewers. And we now move on, viewers. Japanese authorities